everyone. All right, so yeah, we're not in Arizona, are we? No, we're in a freakishly cold Gunnison, Colorado, where it's -1 degrees and it's 1 p.m. So yeah, it's not gonna get very warm today. But we are gonna be in Arizona next week, and I'm currently gearing up for that trip. And really what I wanted to kind of talk about today, and this was requested by you all, was my layering system, what I wear, what I bring. And that's exactly what we're going to do in this video. All right, let's do it. Let's go inside. Okay, yeah, let's go inside. Let's unlayer, let's relayer, yeah, and talk about layers. Well, layers are obviously one of the many pieces of the bike packing puzzle, but in reality, it's more important than many other aspects. Temperatures will always fluctuate, weather will always weather, and yeah, each region and each person is different. Some folks run hot, others cold. So this is my process of deciding what to wear, and maybe more importantly, what to bring along with me on a bike packing trip. So before we get any further, I do want to mention that this video is supported in part by Gunnison Crested Butte. Gunnison County has long been a hub for cyclists. Just think back to the 1970s when riders were tackling Pearl Pass on clunkers. Today, the county remains as expansive as ever, with most of its land being public. It's 1.5 times the size of Delaware and features over 1,100 miles of dirt and gravel roads, perfect for a multi-day bikepacking adventure or a quick hour-long gravel spin. With terrain for all levels and stunning scenery, it's a must visit for any cyclist. So to learn a little bit more, you can click on the card in the top right corner or else follow the link in the description below. This is probably obvious, but it's important to figure out what kind of weather to expect, the climate you'll be bikepacking in, and the season you're riding. We include a really helpful must-know section at the bottom of our routes, each route, and it covers the best time to go and basically what type of weather you might encounter on that specific route. So be sure to check that out when planning your trip. This should also help you determine if, well, you need any special gear. So beyond that, the best thing that you can do is, well, keep an eye on the weather, basically a few days or a week before you head out. You can usually get a decent idea of the temperature about a week out and track storms closer to your start date, maybe 4 days out. So with all of that in mind, it's always a good idea to, well, just plan ahead and really prepare for the worst. For this trip, which starts in less than a week, or in a week exactly, I've been kind of watching the weather closely. So we're riding the Fool's Loop, which has a huge variation in elevation, which is a pretty key factor to consider. So the route starts in Phoenix, the warmest spot, but then climbs into the hills where things cool off significantly. So these elevation changes are important to think about on really any route, especially in the mountains. For example, here in Gunnison, where we sit at just under 8,000 feet, it's going to be a lot warmer in the summer, but then when you get up to 12,000 foot passes, yeah, it definitely cools off significantly. So looking at pinpointed Arizona weather, Phoenix, which sits at around 1,100 feet, is expected to be 60 degrees on Wednesday. Meanwhile, 100 miles in on the route at nearly 5,000 feet, the temperature is drastically different at 48 degrees Fahrenheit for a high. So what this really tells me is pack it all. And well, that's usually my approach for bike packing anyways. Where I live, conditions can certainly swing a lot. So I've learned to kind of be ready for just about anything. Another important consideration is the length of your trip. So understanding, well, how long you'll be out there can certainly help dictate how many maybe extra items that you need to bring. For the most part, if it's a week or less, I won't pack many extras. Even on longer trips, it's usually easy to find, say, a washer or a stream where you can actually clean clothes and freshen up. So for this trip, extras aren't really necessary. I'll stick to the essentials and maybe a few luxury items here, but generally speaking, try to keep the packing light. So let's start with what I'll likely be riding in leaving Phoenix. This is important because it's a crucial part in the layering system. Really, if you don't need to carry extra gear, Well, bikepacking don't. And the gear you start with will stay with you. So why not optimize it, right? All right, starting with the base layers, typically I will have two different base layers, my padded short of some kind, and then a base layer. So the padded short is obviously personal preference, but what I've found for long distances is something pretty minimal, helps kind of reduce unwanted chafing. And for the upper base layer, I've gone back and forth between this merino wool or not base layer and a pearl izumi mesh layer, and honestly, both work just fine. Over the base layer, I'll usually wear just a simple t-shirt of some sort. I've been rocking this or not wool t-shirt recently, and I've also used the Borealis wool shirt that I've had for years. But really any wool shirt, I typically grab that before anything else. So for shorts, I usually stick with something very lightweight and breathable, usually just some nylon short that isn't bulky or restrictive. The goal here really is to have something that breathes well. And then on top of my t-shirt, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be wearing some sort of sun hoodie. It's not only an amazing layer, but it also makes a ton of sense for me out west here where the sun is pretty brutal. Plus, it adds a bit of extra warmth, especially when paired with a t-shirt and base layer. And then for socks, really, I just grab whatever breathable pair I have that isn't full of holes. Though honestly, yeah, most of them are. Socks, they're not great. Anyways, and then for shoes, depending on the terrain, I'll definitely be rocking a specific shoe to that. For this particular trip, which does have a little bit of single track, the Shimano GE5s, they're certainly one of my favorite shoes. They just fit well, they're comfortable. I did a review on them. That will be linked in the description below. And finally, up here, let's go grab it. Oh yeah, it gets a special spot up on the old wall, the brim. The brim is definitely going to be coming along. I think I'm going to attach it to my Smith Network helmet, and it's just going to help with added sun protection and style, of course. And I almost forgot, just some simple full finger gloves. Full finger gloves add a little bit of extra warmth, but really it's just better protection. All right, so all in all, these are the clothes that I'll be wearing in, well, some way, shape, or form throughout the day while pedaling. So they all wick moisture extremely well, provide enough layering for warmth when needed, and will offer built-in sun protection right from the start. But of course, there's certainly more to this system, so let's dive into that now. This is where things kind of get a little bit more fun and maybe frustrating at times. So more times than not, you're gonna need to pull out a layer or two during your day, right? And it's always good to have extra kind of comfy items for camp. So in my front roll, I usually store most of my clothes. This isn't always the case as my setups vary between rigs, but I typically prefer clothing up front and sleep system in the back. That said, when things do get wet, the arrangement certainly might change or get shifted. So items I don't anticipate needing, say, during my ride, go deeper into the bag, while things I might grab quickly or need during the day are packed towards the end or the sides. So the first thing is rain gear. I always bring a rain jacket, usually not a minimal one either. So right now I'm using the, where is it? There it is. The Gore Endure rain jacket. So this is a cycling specific jacket. So the hood goes over the helmet and fits nice when you are riding and it's not too tight. It's essential to bring a jacket that can layer over other clothes since it doubles as an extra layer for warmth at night or chilly mornings. So for rain pants, I used to use a cheap kind of rain pant and then cut them, making them kind of a 3/4 pant to make them slip on and off easy over your shoe, which also reduces clamminess. It kind of gives you airflow. But after some serious rainy trips last year, I actually invested in my first full rain pant, the Gore Endure, and they were a game changer. Many new options offer better breathability and have zippers or openings so that you actually can take them off without removing your shoes. So these can also double as a warm layer at camp if needed. All right, knee warmers. So this is one item that I don't always bring with me, but if the temperatures trend towards, say, being in the 40s more times than not, usually I'm wearing some knee warmers. I usually take knee warmers off around 47, 8, 9, 50 degrees. And so if I'm gonna be riding in those temperatures a lot, then I'm probably going to be bringing knee warmers. So the first pair of gloves that I will have access to are dish gloves. I actually picked these up last year in anticipation of a rainy day. Not only will they keep your hands dry, but they're also great because they don't breathe. If your hands are already warm, you throw them on, they create a sort of vapor barrier or microclimate, helping to retain that warmth, especially if it is really cold. The vapor barrier system in general can work if you kind of think outside the box a little bit with your feet and your hands. And well, it naturally occurs to an extent with most rain gear as well. For gloves, I usually bring lightly insulated pair of gloves. I've been actually really loving these hand-up insulated gloves lately, though sometimes I do swap them in for a Gore insulated glove. They're definitely a bit bulkier, but do a great job of keeping my hands warm when temperatures dip, say, below freezing. I carry two kind of off-brand buffs, one for my neck and another that acts as a hat. And then I'll also pack one long sleeve layer. Usually it's a lightweight wool shirt. This is great for camp, cooler riding conditions, or as a replacement for that sun hoodie. However, I skip this layer if, say, nighttime temperatures are above 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Kitspo layer. Rest in peace. All right, so moving to the middle or the end of the dry bag, where basically most things will stay the driest, I pack my down jacket. Typically, I bring a lightweight one that packs down relatively small. For the past 3 seasons, I've been using this Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer jacket, and well, it's kept me pretty darn warm, even down to, say, the mid-20s when paired with my rain jacket and other layers. So I've also been using down pants for the past 3 years, and honestly, I can't believe I didn't start using them earlier. They're incredibly warm, lightweight, and just make me happy every time I put them on. That said, in the past, and well, occasionally now, I've packed lightweight wool long underwear instead. This is certainly more practical. What in the world? Sometimes words just don't come out. They don't work. Practical. I still said it. Practical. Oh my goodness. This is a more practical and affordable option that still, well, keeps you warm at night or at camp. Finally, I always bring a nice pair of wool boxers. These are for camp or for swapping out my chamois mid-trip to kind of change up pressure points while riding. I really like these Borealis wool boxers. I've had them forever, and they're nice because they don't have a seam on the butt, perfect for riding comfort. And last but certainly not least, a pair of nice, thick, warm wool socks to change into at camp. These are the BIKEPACKING.com ones that always make the cut. Speaking of camp, when I actually get to camp, the first thing that I usually do is, well, find my tent spot. I'll set up that tent, blow up my sleeping pad, and lay out my sleeping bag. And then I'll bring my bag of clothes into the tent so that I can change. I'll throw on a fresh pair of socks, put on those wool boxers, and usually wear my riding shorts over those. For the upper half, I might leave everything on or ditch the base layer and swap into that wool long sleeve tee. So as the temperatures drop throughout the night, and it always does, at least it will on this trip, I'll eventually layer up with, say, my down gear. So if we're hanging out super late into the evening, chatting, and I need extra gear, I'll throw on, say, a buff, warm gloves, and then my rain jacket over my down gear. Usually I just kind of feel it out, because that's what it's all about. Overall, this layering system is, well, modular, designed to work together. It keeps you warm when you need it and breathes when you don't. I do tend to avoid bulky wool layers. I know some people swear by it, and I don't blame them. And actually, I know a few of my colleagues absolutely love bringing, say, the Kitspo Icon along with them. But instead, I tend to just go with more lightweight items. And I always avoid cotton. I think everybody should avoid cotton since it doesn't really wick moisture well and it won't keep you warm when wet. So in the end, the goal is to, well, meet all of your needs without overpacking or bringing unnecessary extras. It's about staying warm and dry without carrying more than you need. So What does your layering system look like? Is it similar to this, or is it completely different? Let me know in the comment section below. And we have a ton of amazing resources on layering. Logan just published a colder weather layering system just last year. So if you want to check out those details and those articles, you can do so in the description below. As always, thank you all so much for watching. If you like what you saw in this video and want to see more like it, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell. And if you want to help support this channel, everything we're doing at BIKEPACKING.com, you can do so by joining the Bikepacking Collective. The Collective offers a lot of awesome perks, including industry discounts, monthly giveaways, and the twice yearly Bikepacking Journal. So to learn a little bit more about the Bikepacking Collective, you can click on the card in the top right corner, or else follow the link in the description below. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, paddle further.